Hey everybody, this is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous good-looking friends. Many of you are aware that Channel 7 in Australia aired their exclusive with the Markle family. So I went ahead and I watched it, and here is my review. Enjoy.
Here's Liam Bartlett with his world exclusive interview and world exclusive video.
There she is, Miss Woke America, doing that same fake laugh that we see her doing all the time today.
She danced, and she loved her daddy, who still loves the daughter who no longer speaks to him.
I know, being an old Hollywood man, you've got lots of old tapes of Meghan.
Yes.
Did you plonk yourself in front of the TV now and again and have a good look at those?
Now and again, yeah. Her childhood was with me.
Rented a cabin for her first trip to the snow.
Every time we had a chance to go somewhere and do something, we would.
I think one of the biggest disappointments out of this exclusive was the fact that they completely ignored where is Doria. I don't understand why the interviewer didn't ask that question as to why was Doria missing for all those years. Once again, this topic was not addressed, and I feel that we're not getting the full picture once again. Watching Meghan dance irritates me till no end. Horrendous technique.
Someone told me you've got a video of her as the homecoming queen. Is that right?
I do, yes. Hello, Daddy. Hi, Daddy.
That's a nice memory.
Yeah.
The effects of a devastating stroke on Thomas Markle are obvious.
We're close all her life. From the 6th grade on, she lived with me.
Once again, no explanation on where was Doria. Why did Meghan go live with you from 6th grade on?
And I got her through high school, I got her through college.
For many months, he couldn't talk, and even now, speaking is still difficult. But he'd give anything for a conversation with his daughter, Meghan.
I wish we could sit down and talk. I wish we could work out differences. Meghan, she loved me. I'm a hero. And suddenly I was thrown out.
What I found particularly irritating about this exclusive was Thomas focused more on, I was the one who got her to school. I was the one who she lived with growing up. I was the one that took her to dance school. I am the reason why. Yes, we all get that. We all understand that it was you, Thomas Markle, that got her to where she is. The problem that I have with Thomas Markle is his failing to acknowledge that Meghan's behavior is bad. It's not, if he didn't raise her to be like that, then I would think as a parent, no matter how old you are, would actually continue to still parent and say, this was not how I raised my daughter. Thomas really should not be begging to get back on Meghan's good graces to fix whatever he thinks is wrong and accept fault for things that he didn't even do. And what I feel is sad about this is Meghan is going to stay further away because this kind of weakness and showing that she still has control, and anytime she wants to go back to her father, she knows that she can, and she will use that card when it suits her. What also makes me angry to see is that Thomas has 2 other children, which I get the impression that he didn't dote on either of them as much as he made Meghan the center of his universe, which is quite sad. He has 2 loving children right next to him, and I almost feel like he's taking that for granted because his precious Meghan is not talking to him. Not for nothing, Thomas's behavior reminds me of like an ex that gets dumped and they can't get over the fact that they got dumped. So they keep trying all these different attempts, to get back on the good graces in hopes the relationship will come back together again, which it will never be the same. Sort of like, when you have fresh penne alla vodka or Alfredo sauce, you eat it the first time around, it's amazing, and that's what you remember. But when you go to reheat it the next day, not so good, right?
She has got to ask herself this every day. Why am I doing this to my father? Oh, I feel sorry for him, and I don't think he should be deprived of his daughter, because if it wasn't for his hard work and his love for her, she wouldn't be where she's at right now. See, Dad.
The middle Markle is Tom Jr., who lives up the road from his father in Mexico.
The sad part about this is this being broadcasted in Australia. More people need to see this in the US, and sadly, we won't get there because of how controlled the media is.
And across the continent from his sister Samantha, who they call Vonnie.
Daddy, I met a prince was verbatim what was said. So not, I met a great man and he's really interesting and I want to get to know him more. It's, I met a prince.
In my opinion, I think Samantha did a great job expressing exactly what was on her mind and calling it like it is with Megan.
Vonnie lives in Florida. She suffers from multiple sclerosis. So Tom and Tom Jr. are coming to her.
Oh my God!
Hey. Hey.
Oh my God!
How are you doing?
Fairly, yeah.
Okay. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
This reunion means a lot.
Thanks. I'm so glad you're here.
The Markles want to set the record straight.
I'm not going to lie, but this part did make me tear up a little bit. I'm glad that Samantha was able to see her dad in person. As we know, she does have a disability and cannot travel as easily as Megan can on her private jets. And I'm glad to see that Thomas was able to go to Florida and the family be together.
Is it worth dumping me for the rest of my life? Denying my grandchildren? Is it worth all of that? Is it worth getting rid of her father?
Wait for it, guys. I will guarantee that there is a reconciliation in the future for this family under Megan's new management. WME may craft this image to get the public to be more sympathetic towards Megan. And I'm sure that there's going to be some throwing Harry under the bus in forcing her to blame him for the reason why her and her dad don't talk anymore. Well, we've already seen Harry start to take on the blame that she lost her father as a result of Harry. It's definitely not going to wash with us since we've been following this very closely from the beginning. But there is a portion of the United States who is ignorant to all of what has been going on and will fall for some image crafted of Megan being conciliatory with her dad and allowing him to see the grandkids. That will definitely pull at the heartstrings of many across America. Megan really has no cards left except to exploit those children, and I can guarantee that that's where this probably will be heading.
You know, you don't see him. How do you know he's okay? And then he's had a stroke. Like, how many close calls does it take for someone to care?
But you see, Megan doesn't care. If she did when her father had a heart attack from the get-go, should have gone to see him after the wedding. She has done no such thing. He had a stroke. She didn't even bother to call him, to check in to see if he was doing okay. She's done nothing. So what is going to make her come around now? The only thing that's going to make her come around now is if there's some incentive for her to gain out of the situation, which, whether it be gaining back on the good graces of the world so she can make her money, yeah, that's pretty much what's going to drive her to do it.
Someday Megan's going to realize that she's obviously missing out on a really good, tight-knit family. I mean, we're all still together all the time, no matter what.
So Tom Jr. mentions this tight knit family. And there's no doubt maybe now the trio are really close, but back in 2017, in In Touch Weekly magazine, Tom Jr. had sold some emails to the magazine and they printed it. In these emails, now in the very beginning of this email thread, it's not understood who Tom Jr. is speaking to, but it's very clear towards the end Tom Jr. is talking to somebody from the palace named Katrina, which I believe is Katrina Kiever. I'm going to go ahead and read the first half of this because there's some important information that correlates back to this closeness that the family supposedly has. And this writing is not from Tom Jr. It's actually, I think it might be a lawyer that's writing back, but here's what it says. It's pretty apparent that your sister is really not interested in helping at this stage. You're going to have to talk to her personally about this. Not sure about the palace. They have not gotten back to me. Her lawyer suggested that we send letters to them requesting them to take down the stories off the internet. And it doesn't continue this sentence, but it said we would have, and then it doesn't say anymore. Then the next segment it says, all I can say at this point is this. I don't think there will be any improvements with the media unless you talk to your sister. I spoke to her attorney as well as another media attorney. They have counseled me that litigation is the worst option and only should be used as a last resort. So I'm inclined to send letters to the media companies asking them to retract their false stories. Another analysis is damage. Since neither of you are losing money as a result of these stories, I don't think that you would be able to get a lot of damages. This means that doing a case like this on contingency would require me to think really hard about whether I want to do it. This is another reason why we should want your sister's financial help if we had to bring legal action. The palace is clearly staying away from this. If you have your sister's contact information, I think you should consider writing or emailing her to explain your predicament. So it appears in the next paragraph, this is a response back from Thomas Jr. Even though they don't necessarily say it, you can tell from the intonation. It says, yes, please forward the info. I'll see what they think about the situation. Just because I haven't spoken with Meg for 7 years or so since she went to Toronto for Suits doesn't mean she can claim not knowing those people. Maybe she's embarrassed. Maybe she'll be more embarrassed after a couple interview. We'll see. But please forward any contact info. Thanks. Now I'm going to stop there and say that it is clear that Megan had stopped talking to her family when she started doing the drama Suits. So, not really sure how legitimate the closeness that Thomas Markle Jr. is saying his relationship is with Megan, considering it's saying here that they don't even speak. What do you guys think?
And you can't put a price on that.
It's a bit strange, isn't it? With Harry's background, with losing a mum when you're so young, you'd think if anyone would really make sure that family was connected, it would be someone like him.
We would hope so. But Harry's still a boy.
But here's the thing, Thomas. Yes, Harry is a boy mentally, but he's still a grown 38-year-old man. And let's not forget that your daughter is almost approaching mid-40s. So at what point are these two going to take accountability for their actions? Or when are you going to hold them accountable for just being nasty, outright people? And let's not forget that right from the very beginning, back in October 2018, now let's go back in time. That was around the time that Megan announced her alleged pregnancy. And they were also down in Australia doing their South Pacific tour. Thomas Markle Jr. did a series of interviews with In Touch Weekly talking about his father and the family dynamics. Did you guys know about the Thailand trips that Thomas Markle Sr. made? And, well, let me just let you guys listen to this because I don't know what to make of this.
The first time that I knew my dad went to Thailand was in the early 80s when he was married with Doria. He went for a couple of weeks, and I just remember it so well because when he came back, he gave me some pretty amazing, what they call Thai sticks. So that was pretty much of a big bonus for a young teenager. My dad's first trips to Thailand, I was, a young teenager, and he never told me why he was going. I just knew he worked all the time, so he was just going on vacation. Never really got into why he was going there until later. Later in life, when my dad told me about his trips to Thailand, we were on the subject of talking about women, and we were out having a couple of beers and shooting a game of pool, I think. He says, you can get 2 women for the weekend for $50, and the things they'll do to you are incredible. You'll be a changed man. I kind of left it at that and didn't want to talk about it anymore. And I just know of a couple other times that he was talking about going over there. So he said, something about dental work and surgery and whatever, all kinds of stuff you could get over there done really cheap. I know he's been over to Asia 3 times. First time to Thailand, second time to the Philippines, I think. He talked about going back to Thailand or the Philippines or both. But he goes for a couple weeks at a time. So when my father talked to me about, the girls on the trips to Thailand, it was disturbing, and I didn't want to discuss it any further with him. Of course, Doria would know that he went to Thailand. For what? She probably wouldn't know, but, judging by their fighting and their arguing and stuff, I mean, maybe she found out, but that's just speculation. I really don't know. Could have a reason why they split up. Maybe not. Who knows? Some of my dad's and Doria's fights were pretty horrendous, pretty loud, a lot of yelling and screaming. I didn't really want to listen to it, and I just pretty much blocked it out. I think the first time my dad went to Thailand, Megan was a toddler. I think she was still in diapers. And yeah, so she was in the house. She was in the picture then. Later in life, when my dad and Doria were already split up and living in separate places in Hollywood, I'd, go over and visit my dad once in a while. And I would notice, either before or later after Christmas time, there'd be like a stack of packages. And I'd look at the addresses, and they were all going to the Philippines or Thailand, and I always wondered what those were for. So when I asked him about it, he said, those are friends of mine, and some families that I, send stuff to back in Thailand. When I did ask my dad about those gifts and stuff, I wondered, if I did have maybe some brothers and sisters running around in Thailand. I don't know, just to the back of my head, I thought about it.
It really does appear that the apple does not fall far from the tree. When we talk about drugs, here's what Thomas Markle Jr. had to say back in 2018 about Thomas Markle Sr.'s drug use.
Yeah, in the early 80s, when these parties were going on, they were at our Woodland Hills house. During these parties in the early 80s, obviously my dad was there. My dad would snort, cocaine, and my dad would be upstairs in the bedroom, and I'd see lines of cocaine on the mirror, and I'd see him do it, and I didn't really pay much attention to it, but so it was pretty common for them to have parties like that. My father, no, he's not a weed guy. He doesn't like to smoke weed. He never has. He's not a drinker. He would have occasional wine, but my father, when I was growing up, was very distant. He wasn't around very much at all. His work schedule, he just wasn't there. It was mostly my mom raising us all the time, but when my dad was around, he was just quiet and secretive, and he didn't really want to be bothered much, and was always like a big secret side to him. He always had a locked door somewhere, but most of the time he was always grumpy.
And in the same interview, Thomas Jr. has a very interesting take on Doria, and I want to know why it has never been brought up again.
After my dad and Doria split up, and I think it was in Hollywood after they moved from Woodland Hills, they never got along ever again after that. My dad would complain to me about Doria constantly, and still to this day, they don't get along at all. I think with my dad and Doria, the age gap was way too big. My dad was always working, and Doria wasn't. After they got married, she didn't work, and I think he just got fed up and just probably just didn't want to. I don't think she was ready at all to be in that role or to be part of a family. She was too young for that. What I do kind of think about Doria is I think, I don't know, I think at some point I think she really used my father. She saw an opportunity and hooked up with him, and when it didn't work because of their age difference, I think she just, she took advantage of him, I think, because their relationship was so short and over so fast. As soon as after Meg was born, I mean, it was pretty much...
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no bro.
It was pretty much obvious. I think he really found out, why she was with him, and I think it was to use him. I'm not sure if Doria was a gold digger or what exactly happened, but that's just from what I saw. I saw a really, new relationship take off and a lot of partying going on, and I saw it end just as fast. I think at this point with Meg and Doria's relationship, and Megan only bringing Doria over or bringing her into anything and pretty much brushing off the entire family, I think Doria's probably, really just like snickering at the whole thing, and just, maybe she's coaching Megan on the rest of the family not to bring anybody into the circle or whatever. Who knows?
I'll be honest, I actually believe this version that Thomas Markle Jr. was telling back in 2018, because this was before everything has gone sideways. And this exclusive interview that was given, I think, had a lot of fabrication and manipulation by Thomas Markle Sr. That's just my opinion. I still don't believe that we are getting the full story, because from the beginning, Thomas Markle Sr. has been dicking around with the public. He has admitted openly to lying in a few of his stories. He lied to his daughter. He has been selling pictures. He has been selling stories. He has been constantly doing interviews. Now, could we say the same about Samantha? Yes and no. Samantha's story hasn't changed from the beginning, and she has a lot more credibility because she has been consistent. And in this exclusive, I feel like she was the only one who actually knows Megan and sees what she is up to. Let's remember that Samantha is an educated woman. She went to school. She has a degree in studying this type of psychology. She can see Megan from a mile away. What I don't understand is, why is Thomas Markle Sr. still doing this song and dance with the public? I get he doesn't want to hurt his precious Megan, but Megan is not coming back. And quite frankly, the public is getting tired of this shit and, not impressed. Absolutely not impressed. The more I study these people, it is clear to me that it's ego for Thomas Markle Sr. He exactly is that boyfriend that has been dumped and can't get over it. Yeah, it sucks that he dedicated his whole entire life for this monster to go ahead and turn around on him, but he's partially to blame. And he needs to take some type of accountability. He spoiled her. Sure, he loved her, but at the same time, there was selfish motives behind it. All as an extension, because guess what? He too is a narcissist. Now, again, I reemphasize, it does not excuse Megan for treating anyone as horribly as she has done, especially to a parent, no matter how much of a narcissist they may be or how selfish they may be. And that is the end to part 1. Please take a moment to grab yourself a coffee or use the bathroom and head on over to part 2 located here. And I'll catch you over there. Bye.
Such a fraud.